All right, hello everybody. My name is Kyle Pendley. I'm the production manager here at the ASU Print and Imaging Lab. Today we're going to be talking about the digital print department of the print lab and how that fits into printing itself. And more specifically, right now we're looking at the HP Indigo 5500. And now this is a digital printing press. How that varies from an offset printing press is offset technology is using a single plate to print an image over and over again for a continuous run, so you can't change the image over and over again. The Indigo is a fully digital press, so we're able to change that image every single impression that's happening. The Indigo can do 8,000 impressions per hour, so every single image can be changing out a record, somebody's name, images, or just changing pages throughout a book. Or on an offset press, that would only be printing a static thing the entire time. The other unique things about this press is that it is capable of printing 7 different colors. So we have the standard cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. And then it has 3 spot colors, and we have that loaded up with spot color white, which is really cool for printing on transparent papers, black paper, any kind of darker substrate where you're going to need white ink to back up a color. And then we also print maroon and gold spot colors for the university, since we do a lot of maroon and gold printing. The Indigo fits into the print lab. It's kind of the heartbeat of the print lab. We've been using Indigo technology for about 7 to 10 years roughly. This model here has been in here for about over 5 years now. And it's our bread and butter for all of ASU stationery, all of the business cards, letterhead, note cards, anything that has an ASU brand color on it really. This is the bread and butter for it to keep brand control consistent. And so this is probably right about now it's about 50% of what the print lab does, because we have a couple other digital devices you will see later on. All right, so before anything happens here on press, before you load up paper or anything like that, the file has to be transmitted over to the press itself. So that's done through a system of hot folders. So once the PDF and the file's all worked out with the client, pre-press will then drop that file into a hot folder system. And that's just a fancy system that can do different things to the file and puts it over here to the RIP system on press. And that RIP system rasterizes that file and interprets it to make sense for the press to actually put ink on paper. So once the file is here, it shows up in the job queue. And in the job queue is where you can assign, quantities, if it's duplex, if it's simplex, if you need to assign special papers to it, all your quantities, and then proofing it from there. And that's when you can adjust colors and all that. So in there, if you're, the cool thing is you can assign multiple papers. Into the digital press, it can pull in different papers from the feeder. So over here on the feeder, we have 4 different feeder trays, and each one can hold up to around 2,000 sheets of paper, depending on what you're feeding. In this case, I think this drawer is 100-pound uncoded text, so we assigned 4 different papers in here, and those are all assigned electronically through the paper manager. And so what's really cool is you can assign in the job, say, hey, pages 1 through 5, print that on that drawer, and then pages 7 through whatever, print that on the next paper. So you can have some really cool books going that are just printing every single paper collated on the fly, so you're not going to do that manually later in bindery. So let's go ahead and open this press and show you guys what's happening inside of here. So inside the press, this whole process of what you see in here is called electrophotography. That's basically the process of taking an image and converting it using electrostatic properties to transfer ink to paper. So what's going on here is you have a pip cylinder, a blanket cylinder, and an impression cylinder. The pip cylinder is your plate cylinder, and that's where the image is then transferred to, or created at initially. The blanket cylinder is what accepts the ink from the pip cylinder and then transfers it with the pressure of the impression cylinder to the paper, and then ink transfers and it's finished that way. So what happens here is that first the pip cylinder gets charged. It's around 6,000 volts. Then you have a writing head unit here, which bounces 12 different lasers off of a mirror and writes that image through here onto the pip cylinder. And then based on the charge of it, it's doing a special charge for each color ink. So whether it be yellow, cyan, black, whatever, that specific charge then is assigned to that ink. And that ink then, the bid unit, then transfers up to the pip. That ink gets transferred on, rotates over, rotates to the blanket. Then the ink transfers from pip to blanket. Then blanket rotates, and the ink transfers from blanket to paper, and then out it goes. And if you're printing a multicolored job, that paper would stay in there for multiple revolutions until all of the colors have been transferred to the paper itself. So let's go ahead and get this running so you can see what it's doing in here. Ready, warm it up. Yeah, it's got to warm up and get all the ink where it needs to be, make sure it's at the proper conductivity levels, proper temperatures. All right, now we're ready to print. You may not hear me on this part if it gets too loud, but I'll kind of point out what's going on. All right. So now all the cylinders are starting to turn and everything is getting warmed up. You're going to see the squartrons engaged to the cylinder right there. It's now charging that cylinder. Image is being written onto the plate. And once that first sheet is ready, it's going to write that image and then simultaneously get the ink ready to go. So you're seeing the inks engaged now to the cylinder. So this job that's printing now is only a 4-color job. So you're seeing only cyan, yellow, magenta, and black being used. If it was a 7-color job or something, you'd see the other bid units being engaging as well. And then it's coming out here to the stacker as a duplex sheet. And we can sample a sheet off at any time and check quality and see what else is going on. So this looks pretty good. Checking for any kind of weird lines or any kind of image artifacts that could be being caused by something in the press that we would have to address. Pretty much the basics of it. All right, so we're going to do a quick tour of the digital print department. Right here you are in the paper area where we store all the paper. Everything you see over here is on consignment base, so we keep everything here. That's only pretty much a week's supply, and we shuffle that out as needed, so we're not keeping tons of paper here that's going to last us a month or two. And since it's on consignment, it's kind of cool. We don't pay for it until we actually use it, so this paper sitting here hasn't been paid for yet, so it's still the mill's paper, which is kind of neat. Then we also stock a lot of specialty paper items, so the translucents, clear labels, black papers, all those kind of weird specialty things. Those are here as well to kind of fulfill those small little custom jobs too. As we come up here on the left, this is the OSE 6160, and this is purely just a complete high-speed black and white device only. It's really great for curriculum packets, variable work. That's record numbers for like different forms or whatever. And it can do packets and stuff inline, stapling, all kinds of cool binding. And the 6160 means it can print 160 letter-sized prints an hour. So it's pretty efficient, pretty fast, and it's really cheap to run, which is great, what you want for a black and white device. Then we've already talked about the Indigo a little bit. It's running some jobs right now, as you can see as we walk by. And then let's see, as we come around here, that's Indigo, that's our print bin. That's kind of the queue for what has to get done. And it's placed an order from what's due soonest to what's due latest, priority tags, all kinds of stuff. You see the rush tag in there right now. It means that stuff has to get out today. Our office copier here for printing off job tickets and informational pieces for the job itself. Red recycling bin. We do tons of recycling throughout the print lab. I'd say about 90% of what we produce and consume and are tossing away is all recycled. Then over here, this is the Canon image press 7010. And this one's just kind of a basic copier, but it can do inline saddle stitch finishing and a face trim. So for cool little convocation program booklets, those kind of unique things, this one's great too, or for color packets. Then all the stuff on the other side you see, we've got a color booth. That's where we go to approve color in a controlled 5,000 degree Kelvin lighting area. And then this stuff is pretty cool. We have our Avanti, which is our MIS system, our job management system for quoting, job tracking, just keeping track of day-to-day things. And then Spencer Metrics here on the right, which is really cool for tracking our press statistics, seeing how efficient we are. As you can see, we're printing 3,300 good prints today so far on the Indigo and 560 on the iGen, so it's still pretty early. And it shows how efficient we're being, how long we're being stopped, how long we're taking time to spend on changing out parts in the press, so we can improve internally, and then also see when it's time, when it makes sense to invest in new equipment because the older equipment's taking just too much time out of the day to keep up and running. Let's see, next, as we're going to pass by here, is going to be envelopes. And have just one envelope device right here. This is called the Mem Jet, and this is an inkjet device. So there's no special cylinders or anything else, no fuser units or anything. It's just ink straight from a print head onto paper, which is kind of cool. It keeps the cost of things down a lot, and it still does a pretty good job at a quality to spot color matching, all that kind of stuff. And it really mimics some of the offset qualities too. Then over here is what's running right now. This is the iGen 4 Diamond Edition press. It's got some very good similarities to the Indigo, and it's a digital press. Just like everything you've seen so far, it's completely digital, so variable data is always possible. It's really kind of the selling factor for us is what we do here is fully digital. Things are efficient. You can click print, things come out. It's very efficient right here. So the only main difference between this and the Indigo is sheet size, the type of ink it's using, and speed. So speed, it prints about 50% faster for the equivalent sheet size. The Indigo is printing a 12x18 at about 1,000 double-sided sheets an hour. This one's doing about 1,500 double-sided an hour. But this one can print to a larger sheet size, which is its big selling factor. Instead of just a 12x18, we can print up to a 14 by 26 inch sheet. So it's a much larger press sheet, allows us to fit more up on a page, allows us to print bigger brochures, all kinds of cool stuff. And then the ink type it's using, it's actually a toner-based machine. So it's very similar to an office copier what it's using. It's very much more of a high-end office copier, as you can see. So the quality comes off, it's really nice. And it uses a fiery front end for its digital rip, which allows us to do spot color matching, so it can emulate spot colors based off CMYK values, and we can tweak those on the press itself. And then over here, behind you guys, we have dye sublimation. So this whole process, all these products you see on the wall over here are dye sublimated, and what that means is all these products arrive as just a blank white plate, or a coaster, everything's just blank. And what we do is we print on a special press with a special paper and a special ink, and it prints a mirrored image of what you see here, and then with pressure and heat through the heat press, that turns that solid ink into a gas, and that gas with the pressure that pushes it into the sublimated material here, and then as it cools, it converts it back into a solid. So basically we're staining the material itself. So there's nothing to scratch off of here, and if you were to look in with a magnifying glass, you would actually see that the ink isn't resting on top of the piece, it's actually inside of it. You can see the clear coat on top, which is kind of neat. And this is really great for t-shirts especially, because I don't know how many times you get a t-shirt and it's that really scratchy vinyl or the silk screen and stuff or screen printing where you can feel it sweat and all that kind of stuff, and it's sticky. The dye sublimation actually is just staining fabric, so it doesn't feel like there's anything on the shirt. And it can last in the sun longer. It can last just the same amount of time of wash cycles and all that stuff. And there's just so many products we can produce here, from bottle openers, coasters, Christmas ornaments, mouse pads, coffee mugs, water bottles, all that kind of cool stuff. And so same kind of process. This is fully digital, so you can see everything can be completely customized and personalized. If you need 100 coasters, but you need different people's name on every single one of them, that's absolutely what this is meant for, which is kind of cool. That's where it varies from screen printing. And that's it. Once everything's done here, that's when it heads back to bindery to get either trimmed down, folded, scored, saddle stitched, hole punched, you name it. That's where it goes next to the next department to get finalized and shipped out.